Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a wild 15 or so weeks since I started doing these summertime pickups, and we've come to the end of the season. This is going to be the last video this season, but I will pick up again next spring. We had a really good last week, a lot of finds, a lot of pickups, so let's get right into them. First off, I want to talk about Sony's decision to branch out their media empire with the UMD. Now, the UMD is the Universal Media Disc, as you can see here. It was an attempted file format by Sony that they wanted to branch out into things other than the PSP. They wanted to do UMD players, bring UMDs to other formats such as music. In fact, they had several movies released on UMD, and this week I was lucky enough to pick up several of them, so let's get into these and talk a little bit about this wonderful file format. First pile, we have Across the Universe. Now this is a musical featuring the music from the Beatles. I actually really like this movie. It is a fine motion picture. Next we have DMX, David Arquette. Never Die Alone. Never seen this movie, but if DMX is the top billed actor in this with David Arquette, I don't think it can be that great, but, you know, I might check this out. DMX, David Arquette, Never Die Alone. Next, we have a classic, Office Space on UMD Video. I'm not entirely sure why Sony thought this was a good idea, especially since, actually that's probably why they thought they could do this, was the PS2 had come out just 4 or so years prior to this, and they thought that since the PS2 helped skyrocket the sale of DVDs didn't really catch on until the PS2 was released, but since it had a built-in DVD player, when people got the PlayStation 2, which was the dominant console that generation, DVD sales skyrocketed and DVD finally overtook VHS. So possibly Sony was thinking that they could jump on this and create a new file format, or a new media format that people would get behind with UMD, and they released many films on UMD. First UMD film I ever had was Spider-Man 2. That is a fantastic movie and one of the best superhero movies ever made. But here we have Office Space. Not a superhero movie. It's actually a comedy by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. Next we have another comedy and a flop at the box office, Bewitched, with Nicole Kidman and, yes, Will Ferrell. Yeah, I've never seen this, but I probably won't ever see it, even though I now own it. UMD, to be honest, is a terrible file format. DVD is much better than UMD. I'm not sure how Sony thought that they would get away with this. And I guess they didn't, really. UMD Video was a terrible flop. Next we have Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within. This movie's not that good. This was another ballsy move by another company. Square Enix branched out. Yeah, Square Pictures. I'm not sure if you can see that, but right there is the Square Pictures logo. Square Enix branched out and decided that they were going to do movies, since that is, you know, what they are known for is cinematic experiences, not RPGs. But, yeah, so Final Fantasy The Spirits Within is a separate entry in the Final Fantasy series along with all of the games. I'm not sure if they even recognize this now, but this is a standalone story that has a lot of the elements of what make a good Final Fantasy game, but the film just does not come together because it's not a game. Next we have a classic, National Lampoon's Animal House. A lot of fantastic films came out on UMD, but unfortunately the file format, or the media format, sucks. You could only play it on PSP. There may have been another UMD player out there, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think there was. Next we have Doom. This is a terrible video game movie. which is known pretty much only now for starring The Rock and having a first-person segment to try and tie it in with the game a little bit. Okay, on the next pile of our UMD movie crap stack, we have The Fog. I've never seen this film, but it's got the guy from Smallville, and it's a horror movie. I might give this a watch on my PSP. Next, Terminator 2. I actually don't like this movie as much as Terminator 1, but this is a fan favorite. It's still a fine movie, but I think Terminator 1 is better. The Fifth Element. Mila Jovovich, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she is Alice from Resident Evil, another just crappy series of video game movies that has done better than it deserves, but The Fifth Element is another good sci-fi film. Next we have Barbershop. It's got Ice Cube. Ice Cube is my favorite rapper of all time, so here we have Barbershop. Why not? You know, at this point. Harrison Ford in Air Force One. As I've said, UMD's got some good movies on it, and the PSP was a well-supported system, but you can't just make shit up and expect it to work, which is what Sony was doing here. Next we have Deuce Bigalow European Gigolo. This is better than the original one, but that's not saying much. Speed with Keanu Reeves. This is a fine movie. Better than Speed 2. And last but not least, The Devil's Rejects. This is probably my favorite movie in this pile. This is a fantastic movie by Rob Zombie. He's got a new movie coming out called 31. Looks pretty good. It looks kind of like an homage to Halloween, which is strange because he did the Halloween remakes, which I actually did enjoy as well. Okay, next we've got some games. Now this was all one big lot, by the way. I didn't just buy these all individually. This was all a huge lot for $20, and I figured with that much shit, there's got to be something good in there, and there was a good thing or two. First we have Need for Speed Carbon, Own the City. This is a racing game. It's a Need for Speed game. Not much to explain there. Siphon Filter, Dark Mirror. I believe this is a first or third person shooter. I've never played a Siphon Filter game, but I'm going to now. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, third person action adventure game. Pretty much what you can expect from Pirates of the Caribbean. I haven't heard much about the games, but you know, I'll give it a shot. Rainbow Six Vegas. Can't imagine how good this is on PSP, but we're gonna give it a shot as well. I wanted this when it came out, but I never really thought to pick it up. I will give it a play just because it looks interesting to me. Brooktown High. This is a dating simulator. A high school dating simulator by Konami, which you can create your own high school student and look for romance in the halls of Brooktown High. And last and most strange in this lot was Crash Bandicoot Tag Team Racing, Crash Tag Team Racing, but it is the European version. As you can see, it is rated PEGI 7. And it is in this horrifyingly gaudy box, which Europe, for some reason, their greatest hits editions are always really, really ugly looking. PSP Essentials box. I thank God every day that our greatest hits look like this. Still ugly, but far more classy than this polka-dotted mess that is Crash Tag Team Racing. I don't even know if that'll play in my NTSC PSP. I don't know how any of that works. Also in that lot we had a bunch of loose UMDs. First, you've already seen this, Thrillville. UMDs, once they get out of their box, become ticking time bombs because it's a very, very fragile media format. They are glued together in very fragile seams on the sides, And if you live in a dry climate like I do in Utah, the glue dries out over time and they become extremely brittle. So it's always best to keep them in the box. We got this box, thank goodness, of loose UMDs. We have a couple UMD movies to start off with. We have Sin City, Black Hawk Down, Jarhead, and Batman Begins, all on UMD, most of which I have on DVD already. And here we have a couple loose UMD games. We have SOCOM, Madden, MLB, and Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. That is a fantastic Grand Theft Auto game on the PSP. I also got in that lot a PSP charger, and this, which is a PSP 1000 cradle, which opens rather violently. Transform and roll out. It reminds me of something from Transformers for some reason, just the way it opens. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a PSP 1000, but I'm probably going to be picking one up fairly soon, and when I do, I now have this lovely charging cradle, so why not? Maybe I'll stick it in there and watch some UMD movies. Okay, now on to the next thing. These are some purchases I made on eBay. So let's go through them. First we have Infected, which is a third-person zombie killing game. I really am not that into zombies, but this game is decent. It has a lot of customization in it. You can create your own character and take your zombie slaughtering online. It's got music from Slipknot, which is strange. You know, in the early 2000s we didn't know any better. We thought Slipknot was a good band and we put them in our video games, but it turns out that Slipknot is not so good and does not belong in video games. The more you know, you make bad decisions in the early 2000s, but once it's the late 2000s and the 2010s like it is now, you know what you did wrong and you don't never do it again. Okay, next we got Death Jr. This game's okay. I'm probably going to be reviewing this pretty soon, so take a look out for that. Death Jr. on PSP. And last but not least, we got Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. This is a first-person shooter game, which I got when it came out. I absolutely love Ghost in the Shell. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And this game is pretty decent as well. And here's one more neat little thing that I picked up on eBay this week. The way that I will be delivering my Death Jr. review to you is via this cord. As you can see right here, it is a headphone jack with a little bit of a jutting out connector here. And what this does is it connects to the PSP so that I can record audio and video from it. So, be expecting a couple PSP reviews. I've already got 2 in the works, Death Jr. and Untold Legends Brotherhood of the Blade. So even though my summertime pickups videos are coming to an end, I do have several reviews, episodes of Genesis Does, and I Can't Read This, and other miscellaneous videos in the works. So don't you worry, all of you people that rely solely on me for entertainment, because I'm going to be bringing more quality entertainment to you this winter. So just stay tuned for both those videos. And right now as I cut, because my battery is running low and I have a shit ton more stuff to show you right after this short intermission. Alright, now for the next round of my pickups for this week, the final week of the yard sale season. I got a couple of Nintendo cartridges, the first being X-Men by LJN. I'm not sure if this is a good game or not. I haven't heard much about it, but it's by LJN, so I assume it's an abortion. Next, Super Mario Bros. 3. Everybody loves Super Mario Bros. 3, so why not? I love this game, you love this game, now I have another. And the last cartridge, Donkey Kong Country. This is a fantastic game. This was the first Super Nintendo game I ever played, and it is one of the finest on the system. So yeah, There's not much more I can say about Donkey Kong Country that you don't already know. It's a fantastic game, a platformer, and if you've never played it, then you've made some questionable life decisions. Go play Donkey Kong Country today. Okay. I got 2 Wii games. First is Spyro the Eternal Night. Spyro the Dragon is one of my favorite video game mascots. I love Spyro. And here is another Spyro game. Unfortunately, this is after Spyro had passed his prime in video gaming, before the time of, what do they call this Spyro Pokemon shit that they're selling now? But before that, after his prime, The Legend of Spyro the Eternal Night. I'm definitely going to give that a play, though. And also at that yard sale, I got Pac-Man Pack Party. Can't really go wrong with Pac-Man. This one includes Pac-Man, Dig Dug, and Galaga. So this is basically any one of the Pac-Man plug-and-plays on a disc, also with Pack Party, a party game. So there you go. I got 2 PlayStation 2 games, each for $1 a piece, even though they are marked for $2 a piece. I talked them down. First is Mortal Kombat Deception. And the second is Rocky, during the time in which it was very popular to remake classic movies from the 70s and 80s into video games. This is when we had Scarface the video game, we had The Godfather come out, we had The Warriors, and I'm sure there are many more, but Rocky was one of them. So yeah, this is when they started production on the Rambo game, which just recently came out. I've heard that's not a very good game, it's a rail shooter. But this is a boxing game starring everybody's favorite Sylvester Stallone character, Rocky Balboa. Alright, and those are all the individual purchases I made this week. Next is one large lot. I purchased everything in this lot for $35, and I think you'll find that this was a fantastic deal. First thing I'm going to show you, you all know how I like the micro-switch joysticks in the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I love micro-switch joysticks because they feel like authentic arcade sticks. But you know what else feels like an authentic arcade stick? The joystick on a Coleco controller. Now oh yeah, that feels good. I love that feeling. These are fantastic joysticks. I have a ColecoVision. It's one of my favorite systems. I have an interesting story about the ColecoVision. I bought that at a garage sale from it was a fundraiser for a Baptist church, I believe, and I bought a ColecoVision there. It didn't have any controllers, so I'm glad to have gotten this, but when I got it home and cleaned it out, I opened it up, and it was full of a surprised gift for me. Dog urine. So that just goes to show you that, you know, sometimes people pee in ColecoVisions that you find at yard sales. But I got a controller for it, and so now everything is okay. I don't have to play it with a Sega Genesis controller anymore, though I probably will. As you can see, it has the same port as a Sega Genesis controller, so you can play a Sega Genesis controller on a ColecoVision, as well as an Atari 2600 and 7800. Those are your systems you can play Atari, or play with a Sega controller. I think you can also play Intellivision with a Sega controller, but I've never tried, because my Intellivision came with original controllers, unlike my ColecoVision. So there you go. It's got a nice little button keypad, so you can dial your friend's phone number, you can dial 911 and say, "Hello, is this the president?" And it's not the president, because Ronald Reagan is dead, and this is a ColecoVision controller, not a telephone. You gotta check yourself and make sure you're not trying to dial anybody's phone number on this, because that's not what it's for. It's for playing video games on. Okay. Next, I got some wonderful inbox games. First, we got Golf. Of course, I didn't pay $3 for this, or I did. You can tally this up however you want. I paid $35 for this lot, but I got Golf for the NES, a black box game, which is in absolutely crisp and pristine condition. Jesus, look at that. You know, it's not that impressive of a game, but anything that has a label on it that is that shiny from the NES, oh my god. And the plastic is just crisp as well. There's no wear on this. I don't think it's ever been... There's no scratches on the side or anything that would even hint that it's been put into an NES before. So that's fantastic. It also came with the manual, which is also in fairly fantastic condition. The box, not so much. The box has some wear. As you can see, the corners are pretty haggard there. We've got some wear on the corners, and it looks like it's been... The official Nintendo seal has been sullied by a child with a ballpoint pen, and that is a bit disappointing, but I had them throw that in. It's got your lovely little Nintendo thing, and this is always a nice little addition whenever you find a complete game, to have the styrofoam. Because Nintendo doesn't know what size to make their boxes. They like to make them the same size as VHS tapes because they're tricking people. That's exactly what they're doing. Don't say anything about marketing. They weren't marketing to people, they were tricking people with the NES to make people think that it was a video player and not a... Ooh, Jesus. And not a video game player. If you've ever wondered why the NES is a front-loading console and the Famicom is not, that is why Nintendo wanted to trick people back in '86, because that's when the video game crash was happening. They wanted people to think they were buying a full-fledged entertainment system or a toy and not a video game system, but we all know that the NES is a video game system. If you think it's not a video game system, you've never played one. And that's how, if you ask somebody, if somebody says that they're a big epic time gamer, and you ask them, what's the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they say, I don't know, some kind of DVD player, you know that they're wrong and that they don't play that many video games very often. Okay, next, another in-box game, though this box is in even worse shape. We got Star Raiders for the Atari 2600, the video computer system. This box has a little bit of a rip in the front of it, as you can see, but this is an incredibly complete system, which includes the Star Raiders inlay on the included controller. As you can see, this is another touchpad controller, but this one doesn't have numbers on it, so it doesn't trick you into thinking it's a telephone, because this one looks even more like a telephone, if you ask me, even though it doesn't have numbers on the button. But the Star Raiders insert goes in like that. The video touchpad is what it's called. And included with that is a copy of the game Star Raiders, of course. We got our Star Raiders cartridge, which unfortunately over the years looks like, even though it's in good condition, as you can see there's no scratches on the label, it has developed quite a bit of glue spotting, or shadowing is what we call it, which is when the glue sort of sweats through the label and you can see it on the other side. This happens to a lot of Atari 2600 and second generation games. I'm not exactly sure why that happens here and not to NES and Super Nintendo games, but it does happen. I've had it happen on Nintendo 64 games as well. It must just be the type of glue they use or something. I can't explain it to save my life. But it does come with two booklets. First we have the Star Raiders booklet, of course, and secondly, this game, of course, is one that came with Atari Force, a comic book by DC Comics. It's got nice art for a free comic book. It's pretty much what you would expect from the time, and we've also got an advertisement for Sword Quest on the back. Of course, Sword Quest, the famous video game competition cartridges, I guess they'd be called, where the players were challenged to solve puzzles, meta puzzles within the real world and within Sword Quest for, I believe it was for a cash prize, but it never got paid out because the competition ended right as Atari was circling the drain. It's a pretty interesting piece of history, if you ask me, the Sword Quest saga. this all away real quick. Okay, next is possibly my favorite item I picked up this year, and I got it on the last day, thank goodness. This is what made me buy the lot. All of this stuff was from a eBay salesman seller. A seller on eBay who had decided to cash in his business and quit the eBay racket. But he just had all of this fantastic stuff, those box games, all of it for pretty rock bottom prices. As you saw, golf was marked for $3, and that's in box that usually goes for about $15. So if he is a real eBay seller, he would have known that, and so he must be going all out. But this was marked for well below market value, and I got it for even lower than that, is the Sega Genesis with 32X expansion and Doom, marked for $40, but I got all of that entire lot for $35. Now, as you know, the 32X was the failed expansion for the Sega Genesis, more so than the Sega CD. The 32X only had about 36 games released on it, I believe. And it was basically, how the 32X worked was the same, or a similar way, to how the Super FX chip on the Super Nintendo works. So games like Star Fox and other games that used polygons and 3D technology, as well as other things. The Super FX chip was utilized in several games, but the 32X, if I can get this out, is essentially just a beefed up Super FX chip. So the game cartridges would go into this and it would complete the cartridge. So rather than manufacture a chip in each cartridge, they just manufactured one standalone unit, which you put the cartridge into. It was purely and simply just a way to milk you for your money that Sega did, and one of the worst times in Sega history, if you ask me, when they decided to pump out the 32X. It's a bad thing that Sega did. They could have very easily have created a taller cartridge like the EA cartridges that I've shown you in the Elysia Dragoon video and Road Rash. EA's cartridge, or I think Elysia Dragoon was an EA cartridge. Either way, Road Rash is an EA cartridge, and they could have easily made their Sega Genesis cartridges taller and added a Super FX-like add-on to them, but instead they go with this entire add-on to the Genesis, and it does add a couple more functions that the Super FX chip doesn't, but more or less that's what they were trying to do, was trying to milk you for all you were worth and pretty much sell you an entire new console which needed a Sega Genesis to run. So essentially that's what created the tumor, was greed. But I'm glad to have it, because the 32X is a fun add-on to have if you look past all of the shitty business practice that Sega did there. That is one of the darkest points in Sega, if you ask me. And you look at the 32X as a fun add-on, that's exactly what it is. Just like Star Fox is a fun game for the Super Nintendo, the 32X adds 36, 37, maybe a few more games that you could not possibly play on the Sega Genesis without an extra chip in the cartridge. But yeah, so Doom is one, and also this is one, Corpse Killer. As you can see, this is still sealed. I got this for, it's marked at 75 cents, a sealed copy of Corpse Killer. This is a full motion video game. Of course, you could never do that with the vanilla Sega Genesis, but you can with the 32X, and I'm convinced that you could with a larger cartridge. But that is a discussion for another day. This is a sealed, boxed copy of Corpse Killer, and I will be doing an unboxing video of this, even though it's not that fantastic of a game. I've never done an unboxing video, and I figure a sealed retro game is probably the best unboxing to do, so if you check out the Bisley poster here. I should have this video unboxing Corpse Killer uploaded by the time you're watching this, but if I don't, stick tight, it'll be up there fairly soon. And also with this game, 2 Sega Genesis controllers, and all of the cords and cables for the 32X, so that's something I'm really excited about. Whew, but yeah, it's been a wild ride, I suppose, these past 15 or so weeks that we've been doing Summertime Pickups videos. I'm really glad that you guys have been watching. I have about 30 or 40 of you that consistently watch my videos, and I want to thank each and every one of you. I don't know your names specifically, but thank you. I've really enjoyed your feedback on these videos, and I enjoy chatting with you in the comments, so please leave a comment below and I'll make sure and answer as many as I can. But yeah, this is my last Summertime Pickups video for the year, so I won't be seeing you in this format again until springtime. I'll still be going to yard sales. I'll probably hit up 1 or 2 more weeks, but this is pretty much the last week that it's any good because school has just started in Utah, and people stop doing yard sales around then, so there's going to be 1 or 2 more every week, and I'll probably hit them up. But to be honest, I'm not too optimistic about things I might find. If I find something fantastic, I'll throw up another video or 2, but this is the last numbered Summertime Pickups this year. So if you've liked this video, and if you've liked my past Summertime Pickups videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. And those of you that have subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. I'll see you in the next video, which should be this Corpse Killer unboxing. So, see you then, guys.